Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to give everyone just about one more minute before we get started. So one, I just want to make sure everyone can hear me. So just give me like a thumbs up or something in the chat. And then two, go ahead and just state where you guys are joining us from today. We love to know where you guys are all coming from across the nation. So go ahead and share what market you are representing here today in the chat. I am actually based in LA. For those who are just joining, we are waiting just about one more minute before we get started. We've got a lot of awesome information to cover about how to successfully scale your business and what that entails. Just waiting for giving everyone just about one more minute before we get started today. Okay. All righty, so I don't want to hold everyone up. Like I said, we have a lot of awesome information to cover. I am so excited about this topic. I think there's a lot of valuable insight and resources for you guys here. So welcome to this webinar provided by Virtuence, how to successfully scale your business. So just a couple of housekeeping things. If I go too fast, no worries. There's going to be a replay sent to everyone afterwards in your emails just within the next 24 hours, 48 hours after this live session. So if you find that I am like rushing through everything, please do not worry. We are sending you a replay for you to go back and review all of the information. Additionally, with the chat, if you have any additional questions that you want answered in the chat, feel free to shoot them over. I'm going to go through the PowerPoint presentation and all of this awesome information we have for you guys. And at the end, I will open it up for any final questions, and I will go through the chat and review everything that needs to be answered. So if you have anything that comes up, go ahead and shoot it in the chat as it comes into your head, and we'll get those answered for you. And then additionally, I want to take a moment to just introduce myself. My name is Rachel Gombosch. I am the Community and Content Marketing Manager here at Virtuence. I'm going to be your host for today and going through all of this information for you guys. Additionally, our VP of Marketing, Michael, is going to be hopping on, and he will be handling the chat for you, trying to answer as many of those questions as they come up for you guys within that chat. So be on the lookout for him. He'll be handling that. But like I said, we'll leave some time at the end of the session to answer any questions that have been unanswered in the chat. Additionally, like I said, if I go too fast, there's going to be a replay. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So who are we? If you're new and you have never heard of us, we are Virtuence. We are a real estate photography and visual marketing company, and we're devoted to offering the world's premier real estate visual marketing solution. So on a day-to-day basis, what that looks like is we are striving to provide you real estate professionals out there with consistently stunning images and marketing resources that not only help you to improve your brand, but also are going to help you win more listings in the end, which is what everyone wants, right? So what our session today is going to look like. Obviously, we are discussing how to scale your business today, but more specifically, we are going to be going over how you can build out a strong foundation that will support you in your scaling efforts, so that as you grow and expand, it's actually manageable for you to do so. An awesome analogy, I think, that's very applicable here is that when you're building a house, hence real estate, you want your house to be strong. And in order for your house to be built strong, you need a really good foundation so that if anything happens, storms, hurricanes, natural disasters, whatever may take place, you are well equipped and your house is built strong for anything that might occur. What that looks like here in today's case is knowing how to scale out your team, knowing how to scale out your strategy, knowing how to scale out your implementation efforts, knowing how to scale out your financial backing. And with that, that's a lot to cover. And like I said, at the end, we will have our summary and our closing with any final questions. So ultimately, what we're going to be doing today is answering a huge question: is why build out when you're scaling? Why should you build a strong foundation at the beginning? So I touched on this with my little analogy, but it seems pretty obvious. The last thing you want is for your house, aka your real estate business, to crumble if something unforeseen happens. Or worse, if something you're expecting to happen occurs and you are just not prepared for it. So let's talk about some problems that not only agents or brokerage managers face, but any individual who's really trying to grow their business faces when they're trying to scale. I brought up two reasons and two issues that I think are really crucial in today's society. The first one is called a master of trade, but not a master of business. So conflict arises when those who are skilled in a particular industry are not necessarily ready to take on handling and managing a business. They don't necessarily know how to run a business, even though they're skilled at their particular trade. Just because you're good at what you currently do, it does not mean you're necessarily best equipped to handle running a business. You need to be able to go above and beyond, not only managing yourself, but potentially managing a team and their needs as well. Plus also knowing just the ins and outs of business operations and marketing efforts. So there's more to your business than just the trades and the skills of it. You need to be able to know that, especially when it comes to scaling. The second issue we're trying to avoid here is what I am calling viciously viral. This is huge, especially since social media is such a key component in today's world. Everyone wants to go viral, which is awesome. Viral is superb, it's dandy, it's great for brand awareness, but going viral can actually cause extreme major problems for your business if you have not established basic business foundations at the forefront. If you don't already have your business foundation set in place and you go viral, you're not going to be equipped to accommodate the growth and the influx of popularity that you're going to get. You want to be able to maintain all of that. So we're going to try to stay away from that viciously viral cycle here. So our goal today is to help you lay out and put efforts in place so these types of issues, the being a master of trade but not a master of business, getting engulfed in that viciously viral cycle, don't cause your business to fail, but instead you're given the appropriate foundation to effectively scale and manage your business. So how can you start building out a foundation that's equipped for manageable and scalable growth? There's a lot of different aspects to look into, but like I mentioned in our session overview, there's going to be 4 key components for us to look at. I want to kick it off with knowing how to scale out your team. So scaling your business in most cases includes scaling your team. And scaling your team can either be scaling your number of internal employees, or maybe it's actually scaling your external network if you're not quite ready to hire on an internal network yet. There's benefits to both. You just have to decide what's going to work for you. So for internal hires, if you're looking to hire on full-time employees, the benefits here is that they're working within set hours. They're usually working year-round for you. They're receiving internal training that you have set according to what you need. There's a complete specific set of working procedures that, again, you have outlined for them according to your business goals. On the flip side, with outsourced help, this is someone who is contracted out to work for you. So they're not a full-time employee. These are the freelancers. These are the agencies that you're hiring on to work for you. Their benefits include having more flexible hours to work and having more flexible positions. Additionally, another great opportunity with hiring on freelancers or agencies is that a lot of times, depending on what you're hiring them for, they actually come with all of their own equipment. And so you don't necessarily have to hire or purchase a lot of that expensive equipment that comes with maybe marketing, or with maybe if you decide to do a podcast or whatever the case may be. If you're hiring on an agency or a freelancer to do that, who's experienced and well managed to do that, they're going to likely be bringing on their equipment. So those are just a couple benefits to both internal hires and also having outsourced help. Ultimately, though, whatever type of role you choose is going to depend on what you need, what your business needs are, and also how you can financially accommodate someone's services, right? If you're not ready to hire on someone full-time, then maybe you do need to look into a freelancer who can have more flexible hours and more flexible pay. But ultimately, what we want to discuss here when scaling your team is that scaling your team is going to help you with time management, accommodating a larger workload, and filling in the gaps to your skill sets. So time management, let's discuss this. As your business begins to grow and expand, you have to continuously evaluate what is and is not an effective use of your time. So I'm going to take a guess, but I'm sure there's a lot of just single agents out there, individual agents out there, right? As you grow and expand and decide maybe you want to be a brokerage manager and start growing a team, you have to ultimately decide what's best for you to be spending your time on. This doesn't necessarily mean that an effort you want to implement is not worth pursuing, but it means that you need to thoroughly consider if you are the absolute only person who is able to handle that job or task. So an example in my current position is that I am able to handle graphic design. I've done it in previous roles. I'm well equipped to do it. I'm pretty good at graphic design. However, in my current role as the community and content marketing manager here at Virtuence, it's not the best use of my time to only be doing graphic design elements for our company, because I need to focus on creating content such as outlining these webinars, which takes more time and is also a higher priority. For you, this may look like administrative work, so maybe hiring a virtual assistant. It may also look like what your social media this may look like help for your social media strategy, so hiring on a social media manager. This is where I'm going to point out that we have an awesome guided workbook for you guys to ask yourself these questions. So if you look down in the center of your screen, I'm assuming I'm pointing in the right spot. I think right there. There's an awesome guided workbook that as we go through these sections and I'm asking all of these questions, this guidebook is going to be asking you the same questions because it's a lot of content to be thinking through. You don't have to answer them all now, but it's also important when you think about scaling your business. So in the chat, I'm just going to throw in, if you feel so inclined to answer, would love for you guys to participate, but what is one task you feel like you could easily assign to someone else to help you with your time management? Go ahead and throw that in the chat if you feel so inclined. Would love for you guys to participate. With that, I'm going to keep going through and we'll go back and review everyone's answers. The second thing when it comes to scaling your team and how they're going to assist you is expanding your workload. Maybe your team is ready to take on more demand. Awesome. That's fantastic. That shows that you've got great business. It shows that you are growing. However, the caveat to this, if you are already drowning in work, adding a new team member, adding a new hire does not necessarily mean that you get to add more to your plate. It means that you use that new hire or that new contractor, whoever it is, to help you bring you up to speed, right? And to help you maintain and keep pace with your current workload. The goal is to not overwork everyone, and just because you hire on someone new, you bring on more work. If you're currently drowning in work, bring on someone to help you accommodate what you currently have. So they're going to help you with expanding and maintaining your workload. And then finally, when it comes to scaling your team, they're going to help you fill in the gaps. And this one is extremely important, especially when it comes to scaling your business. Scaling your team can obviously help you, like I said, mediate that current workload. But what about areas where you necessarily are not an expert in? Consider hiring an employee or a contractor to help you fill in the gaps in your expertise. So I know we all like to handle everything and kind of be controlling and do everything ourselves. I do it myself as well. But there's always areas where we could use improvement and have outside guidance and assistance on. Plus, it's always good to just have outside perspective. And that's where these marketing managers and these virtual assistants and these other agencies and freelancers or new internal hires are going to help you, is because they're going to have experience and expertise in areas that you necessarily don't have. But by gaining that expertise from them, you're going to use that to help grow your business. So some questions you want to ask yourself in this regard is going to be, where do you need the most guidance in your business? Where are you currently struggling maybe? Is it marketing? Do you not necessarily know how to work your social media or get it to grow? Is there someone who can help you in that area of expertise? If so, who are they? Where do you need to find them? What services do they potentially provide to help you in your business? Again, I'm going to open up the chat if anyone feels so inclined to throw something in there, but If there's an area that you could use some additional guidance, go ahead and throw it in the chat. Maybe someone else here could help you, actually, which is awesome because this is a great place for networking. But where could you use some additional guidance in your business? Go ahead and share in the chat. Like I said, we'll go through all of these answers at the end. I want to see how you guys are participating. But just as growing a solid team is going to be important and help you grow your business, it is also extremely important to build team morale. It's going to be crucial for your business that you build team morale. You need to ultimately be able to answer the question, why should your team stay and work with you and your company? And if you cannot answer that question, then you're going to find yourself in some major trouble down the road. You're going to see some big turnover rates. So some questions here you want to ask yourself when you're considering team morale is, what are you going to do as a manager, as a business owner, to ensure your team continues to improve and advance in their careers? What you do is just as important as what you don't do. So what will you be sure to not do as you expand and grow your team? And then why should your team stay and work with you? Why should they stay and work with your company? Again, these questions are all going to be in that guidebook that you can download right here. So now that we have identified where you could potentially use some extra assistance, and how building a team out and building that foundation of a team is going to help you and assist you in scaling your business, you need to be able to give them some solid direction. You're going to need direction in general when it comes to scaling your business and supporting your efforts and supporting your goals, which brings us to our next category, knowing how to scale your strategy. So strong strategies in your business are going to help drive your efforts forward. They're going to get you closer to your set goals. They're going to get you closer to your set overall overarching vision. So on that note, let's start with the basics, and let's start with knowing how to frame your business core, what your core business alignment is. You've probably heard 1.5 million times, but it's extremely important that you understand the why behind what you are doing. Laying out the details of your brand and who you strive to be are going to serve as an active guidance, as that northern light in all of your business endeavors, all of your big key decision-making efforts. Your business core is going to be that guidance for you. So you need to be able to know within the real estate space, what purpose do you and your business specifically serve? And then also, who specifically do you serve? Obviously, the goal here is to sell and market real estate. But why to you is that so important? What is your why? If you guys have ever heard, there's an amazing TED Talk by Simon Sinek. It's extremely popular. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. But it's called How Great Leaders Inspire Action. And he talks about this concept of the golden circle. And there's this amazing quote that comes out of it. But essentially, it's people don't buy into what you do. They buy into why you do it. And so that's why it's so important to develop that why behind why you're selling real estate, because you're going to use that to earn client trust. So in order to effectively scale, you have to understand your priorities, and you have to understand your priorities, you need to have in place a set vision, mission, and values. Again, that core is going to help you scale because that's going to be your northern light for key decisions down the road. Just to go over the framework in case you need a little more guidance on those, your vision statement, think of this as your more vague aspirational statement that's really going to be intended to give your company direction and guidance. So for instance, at Virtuance, here our purpose, our vision statement is we exist to help people envision their future. And then the next step to that is your mission statement, which is going to be answering the questions, what do we do? Whom do we serve? And then how do we serve them? So again, for Virtuance, our mission statement is, our mission is to offer the world's premier real estate visual marketing solution. How do we serve them? Photography, yes. Okay, we're answering all of those questions. The final key to this in your core is your values. What values are unique to you and your business? Your value statements are intended to guide your business operations and how your team should conduct themselves. Keep that in mind. If you want to see all of ours, They're up on our website at virtuance.com, so be sure to check all of those out. But again, I'm going to open up the chat to you guys. If you want to share maybe either your vision statement or your mission statement, or if there's a value you have that's extremely important to your business and how you operate, feel free to share those in the chat. We would love to just hear what everyone has to say and how they have structured their core and their framework. In the end, though, like I said, this is your core. This is your northern light. And this is going to help you make those key business making, those key scaling decisions when they come to you. Following that, the next thing you need to do and know how to do when it comes to scaling your business is positioning your brand. So now that you have that core framework in place, you've got your guidance, you've got your northern light set in place, it's time to position your brand within the industry. So in order to do that, you need to do some market research. You need to know who your competitors are. You are in a massive industry with a lot of competition. Odds are that there's going to be other agents and brokerages who are also targeting a lot of the same clientele or the same audience that you are wanting to target. It's important that you identify who your direct competition is within the areas that you serve. And so what I mean by that is if you currently are serving in Atlanta, you need to know who your direct competition in Atlanta is based on your niche, maybe based on who you're currently losing your clientele to. But you don't necessarily need to know quite yet who maybe your competition is in Portland, unless you plan on expanding to Portland, right? Then you're going to have to start conducting that market research all over again. But it's important to know who your competition is and how they conduct themselves. Study their business habits, study their traits. How do they brand themselves? How do they market themselves? How do they connect with their clients? What is drawing their clients over to them? Send in a secret agent spy to see how they run their business, right? That's how you're going to understand how they're conducting. Second to this, after you've understood your competitors, you need to understand your value. So you know the competitors. Now what makes you valuable? What makes you different or unique from them? So ask yourself, how will people win when they use me as a real estate agent, as a broker, or how will they use, if they use my brokerage, how are they winning in that real estate transaction? Try to stay away from the incredibly generalistic things like, oh, they'll save more money or they'll save more time, unless you have very specific proven stats to back up that statement. Again, it's easy to use the general statements, but you want to get to the root of the answer. So for instance, at Virtuance, it's easy for us to say we have really great real estate photography services. Easy for us to say. However, we can back that up by saying we know our images here are proven to receive 2 times more clicks than other professional images. We know for a fact that our clients, 88% of our new clients win more listings. We can back that up with statistics by saying, yeah, we do have really awesome images because of these statistics that follow. So if you're going to say something more general, and even honestly, whatever statements you make, it's good to have statistics to back up what you're saying. Additionally, I think another question you can ask yourself to help kind of guide you in positioning your value is ultimately, what are the consequences from not using my service? What does the client lose out on if they don't use me? That's a really good question to ask too, and that positions their mind in a different way of like, if you don't use me, this is the pain you're going to feel, right? So think of those questions when you think of positioning your brand and know the difference between you and your competitors. How you position yourself and how you plan to set yourself apart from other real estate agents and brokerages is going to be crucial. So I'm going to throw out just another example, more in the real estate space for you guys. Many agents focus on first-time home buyers, but maybe you have developed a working active guide and educational program alongside the home buying process to help first-time home buyers become fully educated on the process up front before they buy. That's unique value, right? And that's what you're looking for when you start to position your brand, because that's what's going to ultimately hook people and convince them to go with you. You need to understand how you position yourself within the market. And this is going to bring you to knowing how to develop your elevator pitch, right? What are those 3 sentences that ultimately sell a client on your services? These are things you need to be thinking about. If you've already got your elevator pitch, awesome, fantastic. please, again, feel free to share in the chat. We would love to hear. Just know you don't have a lot of time to convince people to use your services. You've got about less than a minute, 3 sentences max. Make it count, make it be impactful. What are you going to say to that person to convince them that you're the best? Which leads us into marketing your business. So we've discussed your brand framework, your core. We've discussed how you need to position your brand. Now it's time to make sure that your marketing strategy is built strong and steady to handle any future growth. So to scale your business, you need to have a strong marketing strategy already in place. This isn't something you want to do on the fly as you notice you're starting to grow. It doesn't mean you can't change or adapt your strategy. In fact, you always want to be reevaluating your efforts, but you do need to understand the basics of your marketing efforts that are already working for you and are already working for your business. Plus, you need to understand marketing trends externally to help boost your business as well. So make sure you're asking yourself questions like, what marketing efforts currently work well for my business? What efforts do I maybe need to improve on or add to my current marketing strategy to help me grow? How much can I afford to invest in marketing efforts? How can I make my marketing efforts stand out from what my competition is doing? Maybe you need to expand more into the email marketing space. Maybe you need to write a newsletter. Maybe you feel so inclined that I need to start a podcast, right? These are all things that you can explore and develop, but it's important to have a base marketing strategy set in place before you scale. Okay. Our third section, scaling your implementation. Your implementation, aka your action plan, your efforts, the actual tasks you are doing, are going to be especially important as you begin to scale your business. This is how you're going to be taking action on all of the strategies, your marketing strategies, your business strategies that you've worked hard to tailor and develop over time. So the actions you take, or even those that you don't take, are going to play a huge role in how you're able to scale your business in an effective and also a manageable way. The first thing here that's extremely important when it comes to what your action plan is being able to prioritize and manage your tasks. It's easy to get bogged down with tasks, especially as you start to grow. I have a hard time sometimes prioritizing and managing. I think we all can say we've had moments where we have struggled to prioritize and manage our tasks. But this is going to be extremely important because the more you grow, the more business you're going to have, which is awesome. But that also means the more tasks you're going to have to complete. So to save yourself from an internal list of to-dos, it's important that you already have in place and you've already determined which efforts are going to be higher priority than others. So which tasks also can be delegated off to maybe your team members or to those contractors that you're potentially hiring as you're scaling up. And how will you keep laser focused on key goals each quarter, each month, each week, whatever it is that time frame that you set to review. As an idea, I think, again, you can set the time frame, whatever pleases your business, but I think it's a good idea, especially for those, actively out in the field on a weekly basis, to set up a schedule with their team to hop on a call, go over not only status updates, maybe like marketing updates, things that could be happening externally in like the news, but additionally taking that time to prioritize any projects that need full attention for that week. I'm sure I would get a bunch of amens if I could hear you all speak right now that your days change on literally a minute by minute basis. And so it is going to be extremely important that at the forefront of the week or forefront of the day, again, whatever time frame you set, that you set those intentions and you set those priorities of these are the key items that are going to help us grow our business that need to be taken care of. And so that way, when emergencies happen, when last minute things happen, you also have an understanding of how to prioritize. Taking that time to prioritize and also Communicating that with your team on what they need to prioritize is going to help you stay focused on what needs to be accomplished to achieve your goals and ultimately help your business to grow and scale. Next, using data to drive action. So as part of your action plan, you need to always be reviewing data. This is both your internal data and also this is external data. So what I mean when I say internal data, this is going to be understanding within your business what efforts are working and what efforts are not working. That means, for instance, Instagram. If you are just starting out with Instagram, you're not really sure about it, this is going to be understanding the metrics that you want to measure to show if Instagram is a success or failure for your business. By consistently evaluating the success, or again, the failure of these efforts, you're going to be able to further understand what your next steps and what your next actions are that you need to take to focus on being able to move the needle towards growing your business. It's extremely important to review this consistently because the last thing you want to do, again, this kind of goes into prioritizing. The last thing you want to do is be putting a lot of time and effort into something that's not even helping your business grow. So make sure you are always reviewing your internal data, reviewing your metrics, reviewing what efforts you're currently using in marketing your business, whatever it may be, that are working for your business. Review the data behind it. On an external data review, what I mean by that, not only should you be reviewing, obviously, your internal metrics. Again, social media is easy for me to just throw out there, but like impressions or engagements, those are metrics you would want to use for social media internally. But you should also be reviewing external data, such as like market updates or news. And this is when I say external data, this is really anything that's going to impact your business from an external standpoint, right? You ultimately have no control over the market, but you also need to know what's happening in the market. So you need to constantly be reviewing what that external data is and how that could potentially impact your business, because that's going to impact potentially how you scale in the end. So understanding key trends in the industry is going to help you stay knowledgeable and stay on top of it. But also another awesome point to understanding external data, understanding key trends, understanding industry news, is it's also going to help you become a key player in thought leadership, right? You want people to be able to turn to you for more information. If you are the one who's understanding all the data and the whys behind everything, you're going to develop yourself as that thought leader in the industry. Now, reviewing all of the data is awesome, but it's only one side of the story. Reviewing data means literally absolutely nothing if you do nothing with it. So keep in mind that collecting and analyzing the data, you need to take action afterwards. After you've discovered, after you've analyzed, after you've reviewed, you need to act on your findings. So again, me going back to social media, because it's the easiest for me to just spit out. If you find that Instagram isn't getting you engagements, no one's looking at your page, no one's liking anything, then don't spend any more time on Instagram, right? Caveat there, obviously things take time, but if over 2 years you're like, this isn't even working for us at all, then you need to redirect what your action plan is, right? Again, use the data to drive what your next steps are. Finally, you need to be able to use the right tools. So there's a ton of great tools out there that are going to help you with this action plan, that are going to help you with all of your implementation efforts. They're going to help you understand all of the data behind everything you're looking into. CRM softwares, there's design tools, there's marketing tools, there's financial tools, there's tools for time tracking if you hire internally and you need someone to keep track of how many hours they're putting in. There's a ton of different tools for you to choose from. There are even tools out there that are going to help you write listing descriptions, right? There's tools for everything. Also, shameless plug on that. This is a side note. Definitely read our most recent blog. It's called 7 Tools to Write Stellar Listing Descriptions at virtuins.com/blog. Anyway, back on track, but that was a side note. There's tools for literally anything out there, especially in the real estate industry. There's even apps for you guys. You guys are always on mobile, so people are constantly developing and tailoring to you. which is awesome. Just make sure that whatever tools you decide to invest in, that they're actually going to be incorporated into your process. And so what I mean by that is don't just sign up for something because your competitor did or because it's working for someone else, right? Again, you need to ask yourself, why? Why do you need this tool? Why is this going to be beneficial for you in your efforts? How will this be incorporated into my process? And how is this going to get me from point A to point B? Tools are only going to help you if they're used how they're meant to be used. So make sure that you're incorporating tools into your plan that aren't going to overwhelm you, but are going to help you and that you know how to accurately use them. And then finally, we have reached our last section. So scaling your financial backing. And I know this one, everyone is like, wow, like, yes, we all want more money. We all want more money pouring into our businesses. We're all wanting to drive revenue. How the heck do we scale our financial backing? So with just everything we have laid out, you can actually go really far, right? A lot of these efforts and strategies and plans and processes and questions that you need to be asking yourself are going to help you generate revenue at the end, right? That's one of the main goals. But one thing that's going to potentially launch your business forward, or not potentially, but will launch your business forward, is having a strong stream of capital flowing into your business. The matter is just identifying where that revenue is necessarily coming from, right? So whether your financial backing comes from internal revenue, so just from what your business itself is producing, or maybe that it's accelerated through an investor, it is important to establish how your finances are going to support your strategies and efforts in order to scale. So to scale your financial backing, there are some things that you really need to consider. One, where do you need to allocate funds? You need to decide which projects need to be funded, how much funding it will take, and how much funding it will take to get those efforts off of the ground. So for instance, if you decide that you want to put more money towards your marketing, specifically, how much do you need to reserve for social media marketing, maybe for paid ads? How much are you going to reserve for that? How much money do you need to reserve for a social media management tool or scheduler? How much money do you need to reserve for a social media manager if you don't want to do it yourself? These are all things you need to think through down to the nitty-gritty details so that you know how much money it's going to take. You need to think through the costs associated with literally every single effort that you have in order to fund accordingly, and also to know how much maybe revenue you need to produce in order to put more money towards a specific effort. Just make sure at the moment of what you're doing that you're allocating the funding that you allocate and set aside is meant to help your business, but it does it without compromising and risking the well-being of your business. To clarify on that and to touch on that a bit more, what I mean is, obviously, you don't want all of your revenue that you are earning from your real estate business, you don't want to put 100% of that into your marketing at the forefront. You need to identify where and how much your marketing efforts are going to cost and how much you're willing to put towards those efforts. Know where to allocate your funds. Second, who is going to support and help you financially? So this is where we talk more about internal and external support. So deciding who is financially supporting you through this scaling process. Again, is it coming from internal? Is it coming from the revenue you are driving, you and your business are driving yourself? Or is it an external support such as a real estate investor? If you plan on using your own revenue to help you scale, how can you ensure that you are consistently having a steady stream of capital? Maybe that means you actually yourself need to start investing in real estate so that you start having a more steady, consistent stream, right? So that's the internal side. From an external support, this is where real estate investors come to play. And how do you attract a real estate investor? So attracting investors, you can really, one, they're going to help you. They're going to allow you to count on a reliable cash flow to help your business expand. Got a little tongue-tied there. Plus, this is also going to help you potentially to expedite some of your business efforts because, again, there are usually a heftier cash flow coming in that you can rely on. However, what that means is you need to collect the appropriate materials for these investors. You need to be able to prove to them that you are worth their time and energy and are just as good of a match for them as they are for you. So when you're searching for real estate investors, you need to do the following. One, just as how you need to lay out and allocate your funds, you need to know which goals and efforts are going to require the largest financial backing and what you're specifically asking your real estate investors to fund. You need to understand that and have that laid out for them. Number two, you need to establish a specialized portfolio. Whatever your niche focus is, whatever niche market you have, make sure that your portfolio reflects your team's specific expertise. Whether that's in commercial, whether that's in residential or rental properties, make sure it is clearly laid out in your specialized portfolio. And then number three, have a kick butt marketing plan and strategy in place. Again, that marketing foundation already has to be set in stone before you take anything to a real estate investor. Investors are looking to inject cash flow into promising real estate businesses with long-term sustainable goals. You've got to do a lot of that background, back-end work to show them that you are worth investing in. But once you've taken the time to really establish those foundations of your business and have started taking actions to scale, you have the potential to attract a really wide range of real estate investors to help you scale that financial backing. So we've made it. We have covered a lot, and I mean a lot. Let me switch out my screen so this one's a little bit bigger. There we go. So I want to take these final moments to just kind of summarize everything we have talked about, because as I mentioned, we covered a lot of information, but good, valuable information. When it comes to successfully scaling your business in an effective and manageable way, you need to look at these four key elements of your business. Number one, knowing how to scale your team, which includes establishing what time management looks like, knowing how to effectively expand your workload or even manage your workload. And number three, knowing how to fill in your business gaps with other real estate professionals, real estate experts in other areas such as marketing, knowing how to fill in those gaps. Number two, scaling your strategy, knowing your core framework, your vision, your mission, your values, knowing how to position your brand, how you take yourself to market, and then knowing how to market your business. How are you going to distribute yourself out? How are you going to show people that you are out there and you are ready to handle anyone's real estate needs? Number three, scaling your implementation efforts, understanding where you need to prioritize your task load. Using data to drive your actions, again, understanding both internal and external data to know where to take your next steps. And then ultimately having the right tools in place. What are the tools that are going to support you to get you to where you want to go? And then finally, knowing how to scale your financial backing. Knowing and establishing where you need to allocate your funding. Knowing who, if anyone outside of you, is going to help you or support you financially. Are you going to be investing in real estate, so most of the funding is coming from you? Or are you going to be looking to real estate investors to help you with financial backing? And then finally, if you are looking to real estate investors, knowing that you need to collect the appropriate materials to prove to them that you are a valuable asset for them to invest into. So by establishing these foundations and these efforts for your business at the forefront, at the beginning, building these as your foundation, you're going to be set for not only scalable growth, but also manageable growth. Just know it'll take time. You'll have to adapt, but it's going to be worth it in the end. So at this point, I'm going to open up to any final questions that anyone's got. I'm going to scroll through the chat these last couple minutes. Do not forget, while we're here still, to download the guide in the, oh, I'm not even in the center of the screen anymore, but there's a big green button that says download the guided workbook for you guys. It's awesome. It's robust. It asks you all of these questions. Really take some good, thoughtful time to go through and review all of these. They're really awesome questions for you to help you scale your business in the end. I'm going to scroll through this chat real quick and just see if there's any other questions that need to be answered. And feel free, if something pops up that you want answered, go ahead and throw it in. Online lead gen. Yes, we all need help with online lead gen. Attracting talented agents. That's a good one. Social media. Yep. Oh, I love you. I'm glad that you love the guided workbook, Daniel. See, I love that this is a great networking opportunity for you all, because you just don't know where people are such expertises in. So Bethany, you can help out with social media. There's so many people out there who need help with social media. So like, how awesome is this? Tamara, there will be an email sent out after this webinar that is the replay. So be on the lookout for that email. You'll be able to share it with whoever afterwards. So yes, you'll be getting a recording of this webinar. Alrighty, it looks like there are no more questions with that. I just want to thank you all so much for joining us today. Have a fantastic, wonderful week. Be on the lookout for more real estate marketing tips and resources. We put these webinars out about once a month. So be on the lookout for our next topic. We are so excited that you all joined us. Again, take the time to go through that guided workbook. It's going to be so valuable for you all. And I hope you enjoyed this webinar. With that, have a fantastic day and have an awesome rest of the week, you guys.